as close as possible because there are no mics, but no microphones here, so that we don't have to shout too much. Okay.
Hello everyone. Thanks for joining our session on digital tools for better open future. We have a little interactive part prepared that might help to illustrate how the tool pane that we're working on works. So if you have the time, just scan this QR code with your phones or use the touch table here, and it's a demo of our digital participation system that we use in Hamburg. And you're asked to add a pin on the map where you're from or where you work. And then with this example, we can talk about how the tool chain will function for cities and planets. And now I hand over to our chief and chair, Professor Zima.
Okay, so did you all scan this QR code? Or you still need time? Did you all get that? Because I think it's quite important. Then you don't have to do it later. Okay, I'm going to present a little bit our work. As Daniel already said, we are trying to make this interactive. It's not like a talking head presentation here, but I want to give you some background information about what we do and why we are there and who we are. It's about like 10 minutes, and then I hand over to Daniel and also Mert. We brought some tools. We brought this QR code game, then we have a touch table there. We will show you at the touch table later something. And we also brought some virtual reality glasses so that you can come with us a little bit into the VR world and see how we organize collaborative planning. It's an experiment. I don't know if this works technically, but we try out. So this already doesn't. So you can see the title, but more important is the subtitle, because I would underline the notion of collaboration. So what we do actually here is in our tool, in our lab, that we try to foster, that we try to enable collaboration between a lot of different stakeholders, because data give us the possibility to collaborate in a better way. So this is something that is really new. I mean, we are collaborating all the time, more or less successful, but since we have so much data, it's much easier for us. So collaboration is one of the key goals that we always want to achieve when we work. We are a city lab, so our official title is City Science Lab. We are a cooperation with MIT Media Lab in Boston. We have been in Hamburg for like 5 or 6 years now. And Hamburg has a digital strategy, and we are also part of the strategy. And it's nice to see that the city also includes universities to be part of the digital transformation process. This is not always the case. We know that in many other cities it's more company-driven or it's more like governance-driven. In Hamburg we have this mix between having a university and having the government and all the authorities. Why a city lab? I can recommend highly to every city to set up a city lab, because labs are important places for like experimental approaches. It's an open space. We have the possibility to invite different people. We are in a way a bit more neutral because we are scientists, so we are not a company. We don't want to sell software. We are not a political party. So let's invite people and try to foster collaboration, but we never give the solution. So the solution is very often a political solution. Planning solutions are highly political, you know that. It's not that we provide solutions, but we provide the tools for database decision making so that people can decide together and have transparent ways of talking to each other. Very agile development in our lab. All the softwares and also all the tools are usually tested with test groups. And test groups come from the governance, so like employees from the city government, Authority of Housing Planning, Authority of Environmental Planning, so different authorities, they come and they have a special need And then we have test groups and coders like computer scientists like Daniel. They invite the test groups constantly and come up with good and meaningful use cases. This is very important for us. This is actually what it means when we speak about people-centered smart cities, which is really a buzzword. But I think in our lab it really comes true because we constantly work with people and ask them, so what is your need, what do you need? And then they explain us what they want from us. So let's try to be other way around. Here you can see again this like square where how we act. It's always between civil society, science, economy, and politics. We also work with companies. At the moment, we are doing a big project with Google, for example, about air view, collecting air data. And this is also sometimes difficult because we want the companies to put all the data also to the open data platform of Hamburg. I think it's very important when we as scientists and also the city collaborate with big companies that they make their data accessible for the people, for the citizens. And that's not always the case, so this is also a legal issue. We have to negotiate the contracts very carefully. Here you can see our action fields or our research fields. It's, like I said already before, multi-stakeholder collaboration. We conduct a lot of citizen science or citizen engagement processes in our labs. So people come and we speak about new forms of mobility or environmental protection, new forms of housing, different issues. But we also do a lot of stakeholder collaboration because the experts who work for the city, they also need all those tools because data makes it possible that people work in an interdisciplinary way. And there you need tools for them to talk to each other. Modeling, so we have a lot of computer scientists in our lab and they really try to model the very complex system of a city. Probably it's one of the complexest systems that you can model and it's very challenging for them how to model like the city or at least let's say parts of the city. We are also into digital twin technology. I don't explain this here in detail, but the twin is something that is really kind of fashion at the moment worldwide, that cities want to set up digital twins. So what is a twin? What could it be? How could it help stakeholders and citizens to understand their city better? It's a big issue, and this is a lot about how do we model a city. And then narratives and interfaces, we do a lot of mapping, very much space-related our work. So we are like geoinformatics, people who work in our local team. And we care a lot about how to visualize the data. And we also like to work with artists and designers because data visualization is not only about like statistics, calculations, or diagrams. It's also a lot about communicating data in a good way. We have an urban data platform in Hamburg, a very good urban data management system. This is also something that we recommend to any city in the world, that first of all, you need a very good data management system. You have to invest money and time into that. And if you have this, and if this is open, then startups, scientists, companies, whoever can come and work with this open data platform. So it's super crucial for us to have this. Daniel will show you later how we work with the open data. Yeah, you all know that, but in city planning, top-down planning is not feasible anymore, and not only in the northern countries, it's also in many countries in the global south. And the government wants to speak to the citizens, and the citizens wants to speak to the government. And this is why those tools are highly requested at the moment from many cities in the world. And I think what really is new at the moment, a city has become a big data producer. A city produces a lot of very heterogeneous data, but it's also that we have new linkage opportunities. So that's the point. Cities have always produced data. That's not new already 1,000 years ago. But new is that we have this data platforms and that we are possible to link amounts of data that is tremendous. And a lot of people are overwhelmed by all the possibilities we have to link all the data. So we often come there and say and ask the experts, so what is your question? Then you are the expert for something. And then they say, oh, I don't know, and there's so many possibilities, I forgot my question. So it's also about like educating people to think with data. So We did a project, I don't go into details here, called Finding Places 2015, when a lot of refugees from the Syria war came to Northern Europe. Also in Hamburg, we took more than 40,000 people. And the people, they came very fast. It was not the amount of people, but the speed. They came within like 3 months. And the city of Hamburg had to put all the refugees into tents. And that was really like dramatic because we are a very wealthy city and we didn't have any empty space in Hamburg because it's a growing city. We don't just have any empty space. And then the mayor of Hamburg, he called me and he said, look, we have to set up a citizen engagement process and talk to the people about where can we put all the people, where can we distribute the refugees. And we came up with a tool, which was the Finding Places tool, and we discussed with the citizens of Hamburg one long summer about the distribution of different refugee camps, so contemporary refugee accommodations. That was the topic. And that was quite like interesting because right-wing parties got stronger also in Germany, and a lot of people didn't want refugees, and the political situation was very emotional. And with this project, we could at least appease a bit the situation. We could explain people how complicated, how complex the city is, and that it's not easy to accommodate 40,000 people within a week. Because a lot of people, they were like complaining and shouting and saying, oh, the mayor is stupid. And we said, no one is stupid here in the city. It's really a challenge. And it was a lot about like, democracy building, explaining people that it is not that easy. And I think I'm quite proud, and also the city of Hamburg is quite proud that we did quite well. So at the end, we accommodated all the people, and most of the people stayed. And of course, now they have like real apartments. But for the first emergency situation, that was very helpful for the city, for the politicians, for all of us. Our mayor, it's funny, Olaf Scholz, who is now the Chancellor of Germany, he used to be the mayor of Hamburg, and he was the one actually who initiated the project, and he also initiated the City Science Lab, so we have never thought that he would become a Chancellor one day, but he was one of our big supporters during that days. So when you look at citizen engagement in the past, but also still in a lot of cities in the world, it's very analog. We work with maps, like little flags, posters. We do a lot of analog, like asking people, they're commenting on paper. But this is, of course, then difficult to evaluate then at the end. You have all those comments, and it's very like hands-on. And we set up a digital participation tool in Hamburg, which is also space-related. You can use it with your mobile phone, and you can use it also with the touch tables. So we go to the different districts, we go to the quarters, where we have the citizen engagement issue, like, I don't know, do we want to set up 500 new apartments in this district? What happens then? Do we need more public transportation? Do we need a school? Is there green space that we need to make accessible? So and we try to figure out with this digital participation system what the citizens say, because citizens are local experts, they have a lot to say, they know the neighborhood much better than we do as planners. And this works well, and in every urban development process in Hamburg, this is now used. It's a kind of standard. It became a standard, and that's super nice. This is how it looks like. I don't go into details here. And another, I cannot give you an overview of all our tools, but another one that I would like to mention, and that we also brought here, Mert is presenting it afterwards, is this participation collaborative multimedia. When we talk about city planning, we also talk about going into the virtual space, because not every citizen urban planning topic is a mapping topic. It is very often about perceiving the city. So how does rooms look like? How does facades look like? How is the material of something? How broad or narrow is the street? It's a lot also about perception and about how do you feel in the city. And when you address such questions, it's easier to use also the augmented reality and also the virtual reality technologies. We set up a project for co-designing a park. It's a park in the center of Hamburg, and we want the neighbors of the park to co-design this park with us. And Matt will explain you later how this works. I think it would be nice if you could really put on the glasses and go into the space with us, and we'll explain how this works. Okay, so that's already more or less, that's it. You will explain this. I think I skip it. The infrastructure. And I just wanted to mention that we are here at WUF because we are collaborating with the UN Habitat. We are also setting up UNITAC. We presented it this morning on the other side of the hall. So UNITAC is a collaboration with UN Habitat, part of the people-centered smart city flagship program. And we are doing actually the same things, like also delivering those tools, but work more in an international context, like with a lot of cities in the global south. And this is what we do with UNITAC, a lot of strategy, also advisory, because a lot of cities get a lot of money for digitalization, and then they don't know what to do with the money, so we come and plan with them their strategy for their transformative future. Then the tools, those are the tools that we are presenting here, and also capacity training, of course, is very important. So I just wanted to say that we do this in Hamburg very locally, but we also do this very, very internationally, having a lot of cooperation with other cities in Latin America, Africa, and also the Arab region. Okay, now I hand over to you, Daniel. This is my last picture. Sorry, I did this at the Highline in New York. I like it so much because this woman has on her T-shirt, "I'm not interested in competing with anyone. I hope we will all make it." And I think city planning and regional planning is often very, very like emotional. It's about space. It's about money. It's a lot about political like approaches. And just, yeah, that's what we do in Hamburg. And now I hand over to you.
Thanks. So, from this variety of tools that we built, especially from the city of Hamburg, we are now trying to craft like tool sets that can be transferred in other contexts internationally, be applied in the global south. And for an example of how this connection of digital participation and a data-driven plan support tool for the municipal planners might look like, we set up this demo. When you follow the QR code or type in the link, you get to this mobile page that asks you to enter your contribution. Unfortunately, part of the website is still in German because this was the default way to set up, but maybe you can translate it using Google Maps, otherwise I'll lead you through the process.
So you have it on your mobile, could you just give us a sign? Who has it on his mobile?
So, what you see is a map of the world. Usually, when we do digital participation, you would see your neighborhood. So this is a completely different scale. But generally, it works the same way. Here, you see the forum placed in Katowice, and that's the same way as we would access the databases of the individual neighborhoods and cities, so that the people using the participatory tool can actually also see other data points on the map and interact with the map. If I hit the red button, I'm asked to create a new contribution. I can give it a title, would be my name, for example, and where I'm from. And select the category that it's about that I'm going to enter. The next slide is relevant to this context. And then I can localize it on the map. So why do you do this? In a normal context, you would ask the people to put a pin on the map to tell the government or the local authorities or even their peers what is the issue in the context that I'm at. Like, where is a bus stop missing? How is my feeling when I walk this pathway at night home? So as Isa pointed out, we already today, whenever there's a district planning process happening in Hamburg, this platform is used. There's a sort of social media-esque system attached that allows the people in the district to comment, to vote, and to enter in discussion amongst themselves and with the authorities about the district. So how would this look like Yeah. I will show you in a real example. So this is a real example from the city of Hamburg. It was about climate adaptation in the district. And as you see, there were like hundreds and thousands of people who participated and entered information to a variety of topics from mobility, housing, green spaces. What categories can be used is something that the planners themselves can set up in advance when they start the process. And through this discussion that emerges from the people themselves, this data is then super valuable for the municipalities to actually do their work. In another different project that we built, which is the expert side of things, we built COSI, the Cockpit for Urban Infrastructure, that taps into this database of digital participation, amongst other things, and makes it available to the people in the city who use it, to view it in context with all other data that the city collects, and all departments feed into a central data platform. So now, as an example, you see the schools, then we see the supermarkets, but it can also be bus stops, it can be playgrounds, it can be anything of value for the community. Currently, we're working in Mexico, in Guadalajara, where we want to use this tool chain to actually have the people map out water supply infrastructure in their community themselves, because this is something that the authorities are currently lacking. So the planners can now look at the participatory data. The color here in this example represents the different categories, and they can filter them. They can do different analyses. Can see like, hey, every topic, every contribution that deals with public transport, how far is it actually from this contribution to the next bus stop? And they can also look at the data in the context of this social media discussion that happens on the participation platform, and see which are the contributions that are highly controversial, which are the contributions that spark a lot of discussion. Like, so where are actually the locations in the city where we have the highest needs for action? And using modern tools like machine learning, we can also see linkages between different contributions. By doing a natural language processing-based sentiment analysis, we can, for example, find out where do a lot of needs clash. Like, a lot of citizens want less cars in the street, but then others are complaining about disappearing parking spaces. So these are topics that the planners need to address, and using this tool chain of participation platform as the public side and the public for infrastructure on the expert side, they can really enter mutual discussion. I could now show you a bunch of other things. As I said, we can do accessibility analysis here. We can do scenario planning. What would happen if we build a new kindergarten in this position or not? But I think I will wrap up with that for now. And yeah, good point. So going back to our little experiment, let's see where you all entered your locations. Okay, so, well, some people work in Africa. So far, not so much, but we'll see. The page stays online. Maybe you guys can add more contributions to the map, and then we can see actually how the world is represented in this. Yeah. Lastly, I want to quickly head back to our slides and show you one first example of how we aim to transfer those tools to different contexts. As I pointed out, we're currently working with Guadalajara in Mexico to apply the same tool chain in their context. And this is a very quick setup where we group data from the from Mexico's Census 2020 represented here, and we touched the locations of schools and public baths and water access points from OpenStreetMaps, visualized in the map, and now we can start to see relations like how many access points to water do we have in certain neighborhoods in relation to the population. Well, of course, this data is imperfect, so this is why you need this participatory toolchain to actually get in contact with it. At the table, we have both the Cockpit Social Infrastructure open and the DIPAS digital participation system. I will be there. You can talk and chat. And now I think I hand over to your
session, and then we can describe the platform, and I can guide you how to use it, and then you can guide me.
So this is the end of the session. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.